Hello, my name is Duncan and welcome to Back Away from Donkey and Bath Books. Today I've just got some books I picked up, and this is going to be the final one because I'm doing the Read What You Own challenge. If you want to, I will put a link to my Read What You Own video up there, so there will be another one coming out over this weekend about what I'm looking forward to reading. But what I picked up is probably about my normal amount. It's not like I've gone on a mass see how many books I can get before Read What You Own challenge, because that sort of defeats the object to me, as I mentioned in my last Pick and Vicks video. But I've got some that I ordered online, and I actually found some locally, which I was really surprised at. Sorry, just got to scratch myself there. And I just thought I'd just do this quick little video. It is actually probably a little bit more than normal, but not drastic. And I've got some comics that have arrived today as well, so just thought you might be interested to see. So I've got a mixture of sort of science fiction, some other bits, and just general things. So I'm going to start the comics because I don't know what's in here. So I'll quickly open these and have a quick look at these, and then we get on to the books. So if you're here for the books, you've got to wait a few moments. Okay. So if you know me, I'm doing Star Wars one at the moment. It's on Dark Droids. Next issue of Blade Runner 2039. Another issue of Star Wars. It seems like they sent two at once. Sorry, just trying to get these out there. And issue 27 in this run of Venom. So yeah, that's comics I picked up. I'll Star Wars stuff, but that's me. I like it. But anyway, let's get on to some books. To start with, trying to work this out. These are the ones I picked up online. Sorry, just organising myself. I should organise myself first, but I'm a bit crap at that. No, there. Yep, these are the ones I picked up online. So, this book I've been after for quite a while, actually. This is Jack McKinney, and it's the first book of the Black Hole Travel Agency. Jack McKinney is a pseudonym for James Lusano and Brian Daley. Brian Daley, he wrote, I've got some of his solo books back there, but he also wrote the original radio adaptation of Star Wars, and he also wrote the first Star Wars novelization, not novelizations, continuing books, what was the expanded universe, so Han Solo at Star's End and Han Solo's Revenge, and I think there's another one I can't remember off him. And Brian Daley, and he died late 90s, he died quite young, but that was his, with James Lusano, who's written quite a few Star Wars books and some of his own stuff, and that was his pen name with them. There's 3 or 4 books in this series, and they're quite difficult to get in the UK, as far as I've seen, but I saw this one, and it is a really nice condition copy, because it's from the back end of the 90s, I think. Look at the year on it. I think this might be the first edition in the UK. Yes, first edition. He also wrote, there's the Robotech series that they wrote together, and the Sentinel series, which are a bunch of like space opera type things. Don't know them very well, but I've been quite intrigued by this one for quite a while. So that is Event Horizon, which is the first of the Black Hole Travel Agency. And next, sorry, I've got to scratch my nose, it itches here. Next thing I picked up locally, if I see these, this is the Master Sci-Fi series from New England Library. And this is Borderline by Vercors, who is a French author. This was written in 1950 something, and it's obviously been translated, and I know nothing about it. It's part of the Sci-Fi Master series, I said, which was published in the 70s by New England Library, and they've had some really interesting books in that series that they published that people haven't republished, you will find things like the Sci-Fi Masterworks Glance. They sort of reprint the same things over again in different formats, but this is some really interesting books in it. And so that's Borderline for Cause. I'll read you what it's about. Discovery made by an anthropological expedition to New Guinea had implications which shocked and threatened to disrupt the 20th century society, for they discovered the missing link between people and animals, the Paranthropus, in some respects almost human, in others ape-like, a creature on the borderline between man and animal, which raised impossible doubts as to the nature of man and his place in the universe. So yeah, so it's Borderline by The Cause. Put down there. Next one I picked up offline was, this is a collection of novellas from the Science Fiction Hall of Fame. This is edited by Ben Bova. This is book 2. The reason I got this one is it's got 3 in there. It's got Universe, which is a Robert Heinlein one, which do I know that? Have I read that? I'm not sure. And then it's got The Ballad of Lost Camel by Cordwainer Smith. And it's got Vintage Season, which is by Henry Kuttner and C.L. Moore. And Vintage Season was filmed as a film in 1992-ish, I think, called Timescape, which is loosely based on it, which is why it intrigued me, because I've seen that film. Apparently it bears very little resemblance to this novella, but I'm interested to see it, to read it. And the final one in this there is a Jack Williamson with Folded Hands. This is another book that's in fantastic condition. So this was published in the 70s. There's volume 1 and volume 3 of these, but yeah. And this is another one. There was a list of books that sci-fi authors were recommending as like all-time sort of more obscure ones that people didn't know now. And what came up was Barry Malzberg's The Falling Astronauts. Okay, this was published in 1971. So you got to think Man Landed on the Moon is 69. So it's right in the middle of the Apollo missions. And this is, read the background to this to you. The space program has lost its novelty, and the jaded public hardly notices another moon launch. Skillful PR men preserve the illusion, and the missions have become routine. But astronaut Richard Martin can tell a different story of panic in deep space, of crewmen pushed beyond breaking point, of official indifference towards his own shattered life. Martin is effectively put under wraps until the pilot of a moon capsule loaded with nuclear weaponry goes berserk, and a nightmare develops, threatening to engulf the world in a nightmare only that Martin could end. And basically, it's about a man who goes insane, and he's like the last hope to help mankind because of this. But all around that period is quite interesting. Put me in mind, there's a Harry Harrison story that was written probably early 60s about a man who goes on. Sorry, I'm going to spoil the story for you, but he goes in a shuttle to go around the moon, not a shuttle, a spaceship to go around the moon. And he goes partway around the moon, and he basically sees scaffolding holding it up, but he goes mad. And they pull him out, and just tell him that it was all a fake one, just to see if people could actually handle it. And it ends up, the twist is it's not. Sorry, I've spoiled that story for you. I can't even remember what it's called. And for some reason, that put me in mind of that. But you got to think all the way through the 70s, through this space program, there's interesting stories, things like Capricorn 1, if you know the film. But yeah, so that sparked my interest, which is why I tried to find a copy of that. And that also is in stunning position for a book from the 70s. That's not even got a barcode on it, so what that one is. The other one I picked up, I keep randomly picking up, is Robert Jordan's Conan books, because I'm a fan of the Robert Jordan Conan books, because weirdly it was my first introduction to Conan. I've got copies of these elsewhere, but it was a really nice one. It was a pretty good price, and it was, yeah. Another one for science fiction one was Kim Stanley Robinson's The Wild Shore, which is the first of his Orange County books. He did 3 of them, and this was the first book he wrote or got published. And I've read Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy, which is excellent. You should read it if you haven't. And I'm intrigued to read this. And this is all 3 books, all setting like Orange County area, and it's 3 different sort of perspectives. So I'm quite intrigued to read these. I do love these covers that they have on these. It's very similar to the Mars covers I own. So yeah, Wild Shaw, Kim Stanley Robinson. And 2 that I'm going to do together. British Library. I've got some collections of short stories from the British Library, and they're beautiful. And I'm also reading a book about science fiction in 100 stories, which is showing you like the history of science fiction through certain British publications. And out of all reprints over Sci-Fi Masterworks, I would say these because they're all incredibly good quality. The British Library stuff. So I picked up a couple of good. Charles Eric Main's The Tide Went Out, which is British Library one, and they're really a lot better quality than SF Masterworks for papers and stuff. And this is like a apocalyptic book. I don't know much about Charles Eric Main, but I will find out. And the other one I brought was a collection from John Brunner, The Society of Time and Other Stories. And John Brunner, I've not read much Brunner, a few odd short stories. So just add to my British Library collection of books. And I said this because of the Read What You Own challenge will be the last lot I get for quite a while. If you didn't see my video, I'm going to be doing 25 books. There's a few provisos that are in that video, which is things like if people give me books, it'll be fine. If I reread books, they don't count. But my whole reason for doing this is to explore books. So I said I've got some books back there that I've had for 30 odd years I've not read. I've got them for reading, so I'd like to read them. But anyway, let's get on to other ones. This next section of books that I picked up locally, which was in some charity shops. And I picked up a copy of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, Penguin edition. I used to have a copy of this, and it went in the famous book purge of the late 1990s. God rest their souls. And so just wanted to have a copy back, and I've not read it for years, and I will probably get around to it at some point. Other one I found locally, which this is really nice, is a Pan Books edition of The Dam Busters. So this is telling the story of Dam Busters. I assume it's got the dog's proper name in. If you don't know what I'm on about, do some research. And this is this copy was published in 56. And it's old English money on it, 2 and 6 it cost. And I do love that cover. I'd like to see it when it was originally printed, because it probably would have been a lot brighter, obviously. And inside it's swathed really well. It's got some photos of the pilots. So if you don't know about Dam Busters, they developed a bouncing bomb, Edward, to destroy dams. And this was the raids that did it to. The film was made of it, and this was a book that was written before the film that they based the film on, from the real story. And I said, Dam Busters, Paul Brickhill. I've never read it, so I'm actually looking forward to reading this at some point. And it was a really quite interesting book to find. Now, next couple of books. These are the final books, actually. Picked up some Alistair MacLean books, and these are the sort of books that I pick up and I read, and then I put them back into the world. They get put back into charity shops because I don't keep them or reread them. My dad used to be a big reader of these sort of thrillers, you know, Alistair MacLean, Jack Higgins, even Frederick Forsyth, authors like that. So I picked up these. I know nothing about them. And one from the 70s, which is South by Java Head. And also The Golden Gate, which I think, looking at the back of it, is about blowing up the Golden Gate Bridge. Do not know when I will get around to these, but I said I will read them and then I will chuck them back into the wild, because lots of books I keep long term, and I've really got a finite amount of space here. So yeah, so that will be the last books that will appear, because the challenge technically starts the 6th, doesn't it? I'm going to do a video this weekend, and I don't normally do to be read lists, but I'm actually going to try and do one for the first month of this, because reason I don't always do them is because I change what I'm doing all the time. But I'm going to do a sort of precursor to the Read What Your Own challenge one. And hopefully it might be quite interesting. Might interest you what I've picked, and I will explain why I picked them and how long I've had these books. I just thought it could be a great way, sort of an introduction to that. So that will be coming next over the weekend, and my Spider Robinson video will be coming next week, hopefully. And I hope you've enjoyed this. And instead, if you've read any of these books, please tell me about them, because I know very little about most of them. I'm really intrigued by the Cause one, I must admit. But yeah, so that's it. Don't know how to finish this, so I will be off, and I will speak to you all very soon.